Hello everyone. We'll start this module by showing you the top 10 universities with biggest endowments. Harvard number one, Yale, as you can read, 35 billion for Harvard, Yale 25 billion. Okay, now you can read more about it, but now let's go. And then there were some articles I found where some very wealthy donors, like this person, Kevin Chow and his wife, they donated 25 million to UC Berkeley. I mean, this is just one example I found. I was just looking for, donation gifts to UCs, and this one just popped out. But there are many other, wealthy donors who donate hundreds and hundreds of millions sometime to universities. Okay, now let's go to these are like some recent gifts to UCs. UC Irvine, 200 million. UC California from Lindsay Foundation, 200 million. David Geffen, 200 million to UCLA again. UC Santa Barbara from Charles T. Munger, 200 million. So anyway, I mean, you guys can read more. I mean, this is just to give you an idea that university they have huge endowments, and where the endowments come and the profits which universities make on endowments, they're not taxed because of their tax exempt status. So let's get into the next. Um, this article I found on CNN, why colleges with billions of dollars in endowment funds still charge tuition. So President Donald Trump, he was talking about, he said that if universities don't, who have big endowments and they do not start spending more on subsidizing the tuition and other costs, then he may take their tax exempt status away because the endowment investment gains are tax exempt. But this article also talks about that actually the prestigious schools like Harvard, they've already cut down on tuition quite a bit. For example, a family earning less than 65,000 doesn't pay anything. And this article might be old, now the limits may be higher. Um, let's keep going. And similarly, other Ivy League schools, they have actually provided scholarships to pretty high threshold of family income to the students who are coming from those families. Okay, now this article, another, I found this was at Forbes, had several useful articles, and they talk about, took example of one elite liberal school, Colgate University, and then how much money, they were spending. They spent in 2013 162 million net of grants to students. It works out to be $56,000 per student, and that's a liberal arts schools. 11.8 million to outside consultant, 8 million in travel expenses, 4.2 million to top official, 25 million in undisclosed other expenses. See, these are undisclosed expenses. Um, and then in terms of the tuition, how it works out. Plus, this school also had an endowment fund of 610 million, and then they also received grants and donation of 36 million. So 5% of the endowment fund's assets are distributed to support programs per year. So I mean, you can read, this is how much money. I mean, these colleges are run like businesses basically. Um, and then college students are paying more. This is another article on Forbes. So this was a group study of several colleges where they looked at the students are actually paying more and more, but in turn they are not getting as much from university, and we'll get to that. So this is the graph where the student tuition dollars allocated to tuition, it's been basically, even though it's going up, but the instructional, you see the component, it's around same versus the study period was 2000, 2002 to 2012. So in 10 years, so the tuition hike, basically what it means is that students are paying w- if the allocation on the instruction part, the gains were actually from students' pocket. So students paid an average $3,800 more on their education in 2012 than 2002, and this is a very broad pool of universities they covered. So similarly, private research universities, um, not that much hike. See, if you look in terms of dollar values, because they were also um, pitching in more, but private universities are very expensive to begin with. But you can read more, about this online. Um, then this talks about why the cost of research, funded research, is so high in colleges. Many factors, they have various type of expenses, but as you see, the federal portion is quite a bit, and then universities, many other components. So let's start looking at, for example, institutional institutional portion, external portion. They went up by 4.25% and institutional by 32%. But again, I mean, this is just to give you an idea that um, they classify the costs into two types: open costs and hidden costs. Um, Open costs are reported nationally by National Science Foundation, and they appear in numerous reports by the institution. On the other hand, hidden costs are well known, but they're never discussed. Um, and you can read again, more about. Similarly, this talks about that internal funds, how the universities, every $1,000 if they get from external funders, then institution end up spending $306 of its own internal resources. And this is going back to the same thing, we have a very open education system. We spend a lot on research, but then ultimately who harvests the fruit? Because there are companies out there who are copying. They claim that within 1 hour of publication of any research journal or even on blogs, it will instantaneously gets translated to, like, Chinese languages or other, and this basically sold worldwide. So the benefits, the whole world is actually reaping the benefits of the research, but the costs, we are bearing the costs. Um, then again, going along the same line, and you can read more about it. I just wanted you to guide to the, this website where I'm getting this from.